You lay a hand on them, and I'll kill you.
Saturday night on CBS has a reputation, and it's not a good one. For decades, it's been the night where dramas went to disappear. While other nights had must-see branding or big promotion, Saturday was where CBS either quietly burned off shows it had already canceled, or tried strange little experiments they didn't seem all that committed to in the first place. Part of the problem is the night itself. Saturday has always been a tough sell for scripted drama. Younger viewers were out, older viewers weren't in the demo advertisers wanted, and sports, movies, and reruns on other channels soaked up what was left. Eventually, CBS just threw up its hands and turned Saturdays into a dumping ground for repeats and true crime hours. But along the way, the network sacrificed some truly interesting shows to that time slot. Tonight, we're looking at 8 CBS Saturday night dramas that never stood a chance. From ambitious sci-fi and feminist adventure series to eco-warriors and troubled cops, many of them dead on arrival thanks to one brutal factor: the night they aired. If you love digging into TV's forgotten corners, you're in the right place. Hit that like button, subscribe to Throwback Network, and let us know in the comments if you watched any of these live, or if we missed one of your favorite Saturday night casualties. Now, let's head into the graveyard and start the countdown. Number 8, The American Girls, 1978. Let's start in the late 70s, with a show that feels weirdly modern, and completely wrong for its time slot. The American Girls followed 2 young TV reporters, Rebecca and Amy, who traveled the country in a souped-up mobile newsroom, filing stories for a 60-minute style program. It was part roadshow, part feminist adventure, and part lightweight drama about 2 ambitious women chasing stories in a man's world. On paper, that sounds like a great idea. In practice, CBS tossed it into one of the toughest places it could: Saturday nights at 9 p.m., going up against comfy favorites like The Love Boat and action hits like Chips. Viewers looking for easy, turn-your-brain-off entertainment were not necessarily the same people who wanted socially conscious, quasi-journalistic drama led by 2 unknowns. The tone didn't help. The American Girls tried to juggle serious issues, workplace comedy, and glossy adventure, never quite picking a lane. That's exactly the kind of show that needs time to find itself and build word of mouth. Instead, CBS gave it just a handful of weeks. 11 episodes were produced. Only about 5 even made it to air before the network pulled the plug. So you had a pioneering concept, 2 female leads out on the road, using technology and grit to break stories, parked in a slot designed to swallow it whole. It's the classic Saturday night story, a show that might have had a shot in a friendlier time period, quietly buried where almost no one was watching. Number 7, Cutter to Houston, 1983. From roving reporters, we head to small-town Texas. Cutter to Houston was a medical drama set in a tiny community hospital, anchored by 3 doctors trying to balance personal lives with under-resourced medicine in the middle of nowhere. It featured Shelley Hack, who'd done time as one of Charlie's Angels, and a young Alec Baldwin, years before he became a household name. This wasn't some wild, high-concept show. It was a grounded, human drama about everyday medicine in a town that could barely keep its hospital afloat. The kind of show that might have quietly found an audience on a weeknight, especially with older viewers who liked heartfelt, character-driven stories. Instead, CBS dropped it on Saturday at 8 p.m. in the fall of 1983. That meant almost no promotion, competition from lighter fare on other networks, and a night when most younger viewers were just not home. On top of that, the show was serialized enough that dropping in casually wasn't ideal, but not so high stakes that it felt like event television. It landed in this awkward middle ground, too sincere to be escapist, too gentle to feel must-see. Ratings were rough from the start. CBS stuck with it just long enough to confirm that the Saturday audience wasn't coming, then yanked it after 7 episodes. 2 more episodes never even aired during the original run. The show's time slot sent a pretty clear message. This was not a priority. Looking back, Cutter to Houston feels like one of those if you know titles. A stepping stone for Alec Baldwin. A soft-spoken drama sacrificed to a network still convinced it could build something meaningful on Saturday nights, even as viewers repeatedly proved otherwise. Number 6. Otherworld, 1985. Now we jump into one of the strangest, most beloved casualties of CBS's Saturday experiments, Otherworld. This sci-fi drama followed the Sterling family, who are accidentally transported into a bizarre parallel Earth where a totalitarian regime rules and technology, culture, and geography all work just a little bit differently. Their mission is simple: survive, stay together, and somehow find a way home. If that sounds like a high-concept cable series from the 2000s, that's exactly the problem. In 1985, CBS tried to sell this as a family-friendly adventure, and then parked it at 8 p.m. on Saturday night. That was already a low viewership slot, and the competing lineups weren't exactly weak. You were asking casual viewers to learn a completely new world, new rules, and ongoing mythology, at an hour that typically rewarded easy sitcom reruns. Otherworld is the kind of show that needs time for its weirdness to sink in. Each episode took the family to a new province with its own culture and dangers, slowly filling in the political and social structure of this alternate Earth. That's catnip for sci-fi fans, but to everyone else it looked like a strange, dark detour from CBS's usual safe programming. The network didn't help. Promotion was minimal, reruns were non-existent, and 8 episodes later, Otherworld was gone. Only after cancellation did it start to gain a cult following, popping up on forgotten 80s TV lists, and living on in the memories of kids who stumbled across it and never forgot how unsettling it felt. On a different night, or on a niche cable channel, Otherworld might have become a long-running cult classic. Instead, CBS threw a dense sci-fi family saga into the Saturday void and watched it disappear. Number 5. Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, 1993-1998. Here's the curveball on our list. Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman actually did well on Saturday nights. Really well. Jane Seymour's Dr. Michaela Quinn, an educated Boston doctor who sets up practice in a rough Colorado frontier town, quickly became a staple of CBS's weekend lineup. The show delivered heartwarming family drama, medical crises, and just enough romance and social commentary to keep viewers invested. For a while, it looked like CBS had cracked the Saturday code. Dr. Quinn regularly won its time slot. Families stayed home to watch it. It wasn't a flop by any normal measure, and yet, in the cold math of network television, it still never stood a chance in the long run, because the viewers who did tune in weren't the ones advertisers were chasing. By the mid-90s, CBS was getting hammered with the same note. Its audience skewed older and more female than the coveted 1849 demo. Dr. Quinn was a perfect example. It had loyal fans and solid numbers, but they weren't buying the right products at the right prices. The network started tinkering, moving it around, and pairing it with weaker shows. In 1998, despite its steady performance and a passionate fan base, CBS canceled Dr. Quinn. The outcry was loud enough that they brought it back for a couple of TV movies, but the message was clear. On CBS, a strong Saturday night hit still wasn't safe if the wrong people loved it. So while Dr. Quinn wasn't a ratings disaster, it perfectly illustrates why Saturday was such a cruel slot. Even when a show survived, it was always one strategic shift away from being labeled expendable. Number 4. A League of Their Own, 1993. Right after Dr. Quinn on Saturday nights, CBS tried to squeeze lightning out of a very recent bottle. The network adapted the hit 1992 film, A League of Their Own, into a weekly series, following the Rockford Peaches in the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League. The movie had been a critical and commercial success, full of big personalities and emotional beats. Turning it into a TV drama comedy seemed like a slam dunk. But from day one, the odds were stacked. First, it aired on Saturday night, in the shadow of Dr. Quinn. That meant CBS was relying on family audiences sticking around after a period western to watch a half-hour blend of sports, history, and character drama. That's a big tonal shift. Frontier medicine to post-war baseball, and not everyone was going to make that leap. Second, expectations were sky high. People came in comparing the series to the movie. Tom Hanks, Gina Davis, the iconic "there's no crying in baseball" energy. The TV version, with a smaller budget and network restrictions, simply couldn't match that scale. It tried to recreate the camaraderie, the sexism the players faced, and the joys and tensions of the league, but every episode invited a direct comparison it couldn't win. Saturday didn't help. Viewers who might have sampled it on a weeknight never even realized it existed. And those looking for something light and disposable weren't necessarily in the mood for a period dramedy about women's baseball. The show limped through a short run, then quietly disappeared, overshadowed by the very movie that made it possible. Today, the CBS version of A League of Their Own is a footnote, overshadowed again by a later, much-praised streaming reboot. It's a classic case of big IP thrown into the one night of the week where new dramas go to die. Number 3. The Fugitive, 2000 to 2001. When CBS brought back The Fugitive in 2000, it wasn't just reviving an old brand, it was reviving a legend. The original 60s series was groundbreaking, and the 1993 film with Harrison Ford and Tommy Lee Jones had become a modern classic. The new version starred Tim Daly as Dr. Richard Kimball, wrongly convicted of murdering his wife, and Mykelti Williamson as the relentless U.S. Marshal on his trail. On paper, it had everything: a known title, a strong cast, and a built-in hook. Early episodes leaned into the familiar structure: Kimball on the run, helping people in trouble while hunting the elusive one-armed man, updated with slicker visuals and a faster pace. But it was launching in a TV landscape that had changed dramatically. Serialized dramas were everywhere, and viewers had a lot of options. The ratings never quite lived up to CBS's expectations. Competition was fierce, and the network didn't give the reboot much room to stumble. Before long, The Fugitive was canceled, but CBS still had episodes in the can, and this is where the Saturday night curse kicked in. The remaining installments were quietly dumped onto the Saturday schedule, burned off in a place where the few remaining fans struggled to even find them. If you were invested in Kimball's story, this was brutal. You'd watch the show marketed as a big, prestige revival, only to see the finale of his journey relegated to a night the network clearly didn't care about. If you weren't already watching, you'd never know those episodes existed. In the end, The Fugitive reboot is remembered less for its content than for how it was treated, an ambitious attempt to resurrect a classic, finished off in the TV equivalent of a back alley. Number 2. Broken Badges, 1990-1991. Now we get into the truly sacrificial lambs. Broken Badges was a Stephen J. Cannell production, and it shows. The series followed a squad of problem cops, officers with psychological issues or extreme quirks, who are brought back from psychiatric leave to form an unconventional crime-fighting team. One is addicted to danger, one has a violent temper, another is a kleptomaniac whose compulsion becomes a skill on the job. You can almost hear the pitch. It's like the A-Team, but with cops who are all a little broken. In the hands of Cannell, that usually meant big characters, wild action, and a certain tongue-in-cheek charm. Unfortunately, CBS chose Saturday night as the testing ground for this experiment, slapping it into a lineup the network desperately hoped would revive the evening. That lineup imploded almost immediately. The comedies leading into Broken Badges flopped hard, meaning the show inherited a tiny, disinterested audience. Critics weren't kind either. Many found the series tonally confused, Unsure whether it was a serious drama about trauma and mental health, or a quirky action show where crazy cops solved crimes with their issues as superpowers. With low ratings and no buzz, Broken Badges didn't last. It premiered in late November 1990, limped through a handful of episodes, and vanished by the end of December. A couple of episodes were burned off months later, and then the show disappeared into TV trivia. The tragedy here is that you can see the bones of something interesting. A show about damaged officers trying to redeem themselves could have worked in a darker, more serialized era. But in 1990, on CBS, on a Saturday night, it felt like a misfit, launched with little patience into a slot that almost guaranteed nobody would show up. Number 1, Earth Force, 1990. And that brings us to maybe the purest example of a CBS Saturday night drama that never stood a chance. Earth Force. This series followed an elite international team of eco-warriors assembled to prevent environmental disasters around the globe. Oil spills, toxic dumping, corporate malfeasance. If the planet was in trouble, these people parachuted in to save it. Think of it as an eco-action show, starring Gil Gerard of Buck Rogers fame. In theory, this was ahead of its time. A team-based action series with a socially conscious hook could easily exist in today's streaming landscape, marketed as prestige, Save the Planet TV. But CBS chose to premiere Earth Force in the fall of 1990, on Saturday nights at 9 p.m. That meant families flipping around for light entertainment, sports fans recovering from the day's games, and viewers looking for something easy. Instead, CBS offered them a morally urgent, globe-trotting drama about pollution, environmental crime, and corporate greed. It was a heavy sell even in the best of circumstances. On Saturday night, with limited promotion, it was doomed. The numbers were disastrous. Earth Force became the first official cancellation of the 1990-91 season, yanked after just a couple of weeks. Only 3 episodes aired. The rest never saw the light of primetime. For viewers who did catch it, the whiplash was intense. One moment, you've got this earnest team trying to stop ecological catastrophe, and almost immediately, it's gone. As a symbol, it's perfect. CBS tried to save the world on the one night when it couldn't even save its dramas. Earth Force didn't just fail because of its premise or execution. It failed because it was launched directly into the teeth of the Saturday death slot, with almost no chance to build an audience before the axe fell. Conclusion. Looking back at these 8 shows, a pattern emerges. Saturday night on CBS wasn't just a rough time slot. It was an ecosystem built to swallow ambitious dramas whole. You had pioneering ideas like The American Girls, small-scale human stories like Cutter to Houston, and oddball genre swings like Otherworld and Earth Force, all thrown into a night when viewers were either out of the house or looking for comfort food TV. Even when something worked, like Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, the math didn't favor it. Winning its time slot on Saturday still couldn't protect it from questions about demographics and ad dollars. Meanwhile, reboots and burn-offs like The Fugitive and Broken Badges illustrate how Saturday became the place CBS quietly finished off shows it had already decided to abandon. In the streaming era, a bad time slot isn't quite the death sentence it used to be. Episodes live online. Word of mouth has a longer shelf life, and obscure series can find new fans years later. But for these Saturday night casualties, the time slot was everything. If you weren't parked in front of the TV at exactly the right moment, they might as well have never existed. So now, we want to hear from you. Did you watch any of these on their original runs? Do you remember stumbling across Otherworld or Earth Force and wondering why nobody else had heard of them? Drop your memories and your own picks for Saturday Night Victims in the comments. If you enjoyed this trip through the CBS graveyard, hit like, subscribe to Throwback Network, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into TV's most cursed time slots.